Welcome to the Four Visions Market Podcast, a space built on the principles of integrity and reciprocity. Together, we will engage in thought-provoking conversations about plant medicines, why these plants are coming out of the rainforests, jungles, and mountains after thousands of years, and what it means to be in right relationship with the ancestral wisdom cultures and guardians of these traditions. I'm your host, Mariah Gannessa, founder and director of Four Visions Market. This podcast is the natural evolution in our commitment to providing you, our tribe, with incredible resources to support you on your healing journey through plant medicines. Welcome home. Welcome back, Four Visions Tribe. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Four Visions Market Podcast. Today on the show, I sit down with Melissa Stangl, founding partner and COO of Soltara Healing Center, an ayahuasca center working with Shipibo healers in Costa Rica and Peru, with a focus on integration. Melissa holds a master's degree in biomedical engineering from the University of Pennsylvania. After several years of conducting brain and lung cancer research and gaining managerial experience across a wide range of businesses, her interests turned toward the healing power and responsible use of plant medicines and psychedelics, and working with the wisdom traditions and cultures that steward them. In 2015, she consciously chose to leave corporate America and moved to live and work in the Amazon jungle. Melissa has since used her background in engineering, science, and management to help advance the plant medicine and psychedelic movements, first by managing a top-rated ayahuasca center in Peru, and now with Soltara. Melissa is passionate about using her technical, managerial, and problem-solving skills to help bridge the gap between the Western world and the incredible healing potential of plant medicines, their traditions, and a holistic approach to health. We talk a lot on the show today about Soltara and the incredible work that they are doing, specifically focusing a lot on the in-depth integration program that they've developed called the Maloka. We get to hear from Melissa about a wide variety of topics that have served as foundational pillars for their mission and vision, including how to build community, sacred reciprocity, and supporting the families of those undergoing the plant medicine experience. We also get into some of the complexities of what it means to be involved with sharing and being a bridge of these ancestral wisdom cultures and the Western world, our visions for the future of plant medicine and specifically ayahuasca, as well as the different elements that we see as crucial to the sustainability of these plants for the next 30 years and beyond. It was so fun for me to get to connect with Melissa. She is a beautiful woman. I hope you enjoyed today's episode.
A quick word from our sponsors before we begin this episode.
When working with powerful plant allies and teachers, we're given a new awareness and a deeper understanding of ourselves, the world around us, and the energies in our lives. One of the most challenging parts of working with plant medicine is integrating the experience. In ceremony, our plant teachers show us the path, but it is then our responsibility to take action in our daily lives. Mushroom microdosing has helped me tremendously in this process, allowing me to keep messages and insights from ceremony in the forefront of my awareness. This is key in the integration process because it helps us to bring the technology of the ancient wisdom we receive through ceremony into lasting, sustainable transformation and change. If you are looking for the right place to source high-quality, ethical, made-in-prayer mushroom microdoses, look no further. Four Visions Market is proud to endorse Connect Chocolate in their 30-day microdose protocol. Visit connectchocolate.life and use the code FVFamily for 10% off your first order. According to a journal published by the National Library of Medicine, individuals who microdose describe a wide variety of psychological benefits, including enhanced creativity, increased energy, improved social ability, sharper focus, stronger analytical thinking, more positive mood, improved memory, and increased mindfulness and general sense of well-being. Connect Chocolate was founded by a member of the Four Visions community, and their mission is to cultivate kinship with earth and spirit, This 30-day at-home treatment will take you on a journey to support your emotional, spiritual, and mental well-being. Go to connectchocolate.life or visit the link in our show notes. And remember to use the code FVFamily for 10% off your first order. Welcome, Melissa. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm so excited to have you on the show and to get to learn more about you and all the beautiful work that you're doing.
Thank you so much for having me, Mariah.
So, with that, let's just jump right in and maybe get started with a little introduction to who you are and how you found yourself to be stewarding this project that is Soltara. Maybe to give it a little bit of fresh energy, you can share an introduction kind of from the lens of how plant medicine changed the trajectory of your life and how it completely impacted the course of your career and what you find yourself to be doing today.
Yeah, absolutely. I've heard other people say this, and I think it really rings true for me as well, that the plants really recruited me. I had no anticipation or expectation that this would be my path. I originally was very much involved in the science and engineering side of life, as well as some corporate management background. So I studied biomedical engineering in university in Philadelphia back in 2013 or so. And I worked in scientific research labs studying cancer research, brain and lung cancer, and was really fascinated with the way that healing happens, and hoping to originally my hope was to help find cures for some of these cancers, these really deadly cancers. And the scientific world has a very specific way of approaching healing, and a lot of it is very much tinkering with biological levers. And it was really, really impactful and profound. And at the same time, I felt like there was something kind of missing in that approach, but I didn't really know what. And I only really got introduced to psychedelics through towards the end of my time at the university. Psilocybin was my first psychedelic medicine that I tried, and didn't really, it opened me up, but it didn't really plant that seed until I was actually on Reddit one day back in 2013. I was just about to graduate college, and I was about to start this corporate job that I was hoping would help me make a little bit more of an impact faster than working in a lab for many, many years, to maybe get a paper out, to maybe help someone someday. The pace of that work was a little bit slow for me, and I wanted to gain some more skills and learn how to make a bigger impact faster. And so I was about to start a corporate job and gain some management experience, and I had a feeling that, I wasn't going to absolutely love it, but I knew that it was a stepping stone. And as with many people in my generation, I think the amount of student debt really required that I quickly get a full-time job in an area that was going to pay enough to allow me to pay off those student loans. So I was looking for something during the summer to really help orient me to this next chapter in my life. And I just happened to come across a Reddit post that my current business partner, this was 10 years ago now, made a post, and he said, I take people into the Amazon to work with Shipibo healers and drink ayahuasca, ask me anything. And I was like, wow, I have a lot of questions. Like I had watched DMT, the spirit molecule, and, obviously worked with psilocybin a little bit and cannabis, but it wasn't really on my radar. And so when I came across this post, I was like, oh, I have lots of questions. And so I started asking him, and he responded quickly, and I had a really good vibe. And he was advertising for the June solstice journey in 2013, which was a few months out, and perfect timing between graduating and starting this new job. So, I was like, maybe this is what I should do. Maybe it will help me to orient to this next chapter. And my partner at the time was very skeptical. He was like, you're going to go do drugs in the jungle with some guy you met on Reddit? Like, are you crazy? Like, no. He's like, I'll never see you again. And Looking back, I think it was actually, I think this was really the big lesson for me that eventually manifested in a deeper understanding once I actually started working with plant medicines, which was really sinking into my intuition in that moment, which, I don't necessarily recommend going and doing this, that anybody does this. But at the time, I really had a strong feeling that this was something I should do. And, I had a good energy exchange with Dan over Reddit. And I was like, listen, like, I have a good feeling about this. I really think I want to do it. The timing lines up. And if you're nervous, like, come with me, let's do it together, And so that was really the tangential moment, to be honest with you, because for like in my own personal journey, it was the first time I had ever done something because it was coming from an internal desire and direction rather than what I thought I should do, which was pretty much how I had led my life up until that point. And it was also the opening to really stepping into this work for the first time. And so we did go on that journey, and it was quite the adventure. Our bus got stuck in the mud, and we almost didn't make the first ceremony. We had to hire a 12-year-old with a boat to take us up the river to get to the center in time for the ceremony. And for me, it was very much, it wasn't this huge, like, mind-blowing, explosive, realization, oh, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. It was really just planting a seed at the time and really opening me up to the potential for a different kind of healing, and my partner as well at the time. And so that trip was profound, but I left it where it was in the moment. I said, I have to go take this job, but Dan, I really love what you're doing here. I would love to keep in touch and just see how things develop. So over the next 2 years, he actually, from that same trip, decided to run more trips and go full time eventually. And actually the next year ended up building a center in the Amazon, working with Shipibo communities. So this was the tradition that we worked in for this trip. And then he continued to stay connected to them. And in 2014, built the center there and next to this village of Libertad, and in conjunction with the village, working out a really beautiful exchange with them. And then in 2015, I was 2 years into this corporate job, and I really was feeling, I was praying for a change. I was like, I need to do something else, because I really let myself get caught up in the toxicity of the corporate ladder and culture. And I know that, it was like 10-hour days. It was an hour commute each way. It was really burning me out, and I didn't love the work. I loved some of the people, and I learned a lot, and I'm always grateful for that. But at the same time, it was not what I was meant to be doing. And so I was getting ready to, I don't know, move to California or Colorado or somewhere, when in 2015, I got an email from Dan saying that he was looking for an operations manager. And I was like, well, that's what I'm doing right now. I mean, it's for a large industrial supply company, but I do know how to, work with operational protocol and manage people, So I was like, I don't think I'm going to get this, but I did ask for a big change, let me apply at least. I'm not sure I'm going to get it, but it was the fastest cover letter I've ever written in my life. And he actually, he did bring me on. So he really took a chance on me too, because at the time I had only had 3 ceremonies under my belt. And he was like, okay, you've got to learn Spanish. You have to move to the Amazon. You understand this, right? And, these are the agreements. And I was like, I got the job. Like now I have to take it. Like I asked for a change. Like this is a change. And so I really feel like it was one of those very synchronistic things that, I decided to follow through on. And so my onboarding for this job was actually going to the center and for 3 weeks, just being a participant. So 12 ceremonies in 3 weeks, which was such a beautiful gift, because it really allowed me to clear out a lot of what I had been carrying over the last several years of different things in different ways, and have a strong foundation of some more medicine work before actually, understanding how to help manage the operations. And so, from then on, I worked there for a couple of years, and learned a lot and got so much knowledge from the maestros that we worked with, and had the privilege of doing some plant dietas with them, going a little bit deeper with the work, and also bringing people to the Sacred Valley, Machu Picchu, and supporting them just in an operational capacity. My path has not been on the facilitation side or the space holding side, but yeah, just really facilitating the actual operations themselves. And so then after a couple of years, the center changed ownership, and I got a message from the medicine that was like, you need to go integrate this work. Like, this is very, I'm not going to give you any more answers. You know, you need to kind of get out of the bubble and integrate. And so I did. I went and lived with my mother for a year in California. And it was at that point that I realized that I had no tools to integrate. We would, talk about how the hard work starts when you get home. And, we had a Facebook group, but that was it. And, integration wasn't, like, aftercare wasn't really talked about that much at that time. And so my integration of that was Soltara with a focus on integration, because I was like, this is this is unacceptable. Like, we need to do better. We need to be a better bridge, and we can't just, leave people hanging after the fact. And so when Dan asked if I wanted to found a center in Costa Rica, I was like, yes, but I think we need to really just focus on integration. Like, that needs to be a pillar of what we do. And that includes preparation too, right? It's just really the outside container of this work. And then only working with Shipibo healers, only working with ayahuasca as just the one medicine. And we were working with different medicines as well back at the previous center. And then when we were starting Soltara, I really called in some advisors to make sure that we were, really evolving and taking what we had learned. And so Dennis McKenna came on board, Bia Labate from Chacruna Institute came on board, and really helped to solidify our integration program and us just really working only with ayahuasca with Shipibo healers. And so, yeah, we opened in 2018.
Can I ask why you chose to do that?
Yeah. So, I've seen a lot of different ways that this healing can happen and this work can be done, but really this came from respect for the tradition that, we follow in this work. Shipibo healers don't work with they don't work with they don't work with animal medicines, they don't work with other plant medicine. They work with other plants, but they don't have, San Pedro is not part of their cosmovision or the way that they work with things. And really what they say is that when you're working with ayahuasca, like, they even say you shouldn't work with any other healers or, psychoactive medicines for a certain period of time before and after working with ayahuasca. And so this was really out of respect for them, and also thinking about the nervous systems and the people that come through for this work, and just really understanding that, sometimes it's better to dig 1 6-foot hole than 6 1-foot holes. And so it really just allows people the opportunity to build a relationship with this plant medicine, go deep with this work and with this tradition. And so we felt that felt really aligned for us to work in integrity like that.
Mm. So beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing and telling us a little bit about your story. And it's always really inspiring to hear the ways in which the medicine calls people to be in service to her in so many different ways, with all of our different skill sets and backgrounds, and the way that you really followed your heart. I love getting to hear these stories of really tuning into our intuition and choosing to take a risk, something that really was outside the norm in so many ways for you, and the ways in which everything has opened up in a lot of beauty in your work and in the vision that has been cultivated over the last decade. So really celebrating you and celebrating Soltara in what you guys have created. And yeah, I first just want to say thank you for sharing all of that, and many different elements there that deeply resonated just with that initial presentation of what Soltara is doing. And I think one of the reasons that I felt really drawn to speak with you to highlight Soltara within our Four Visions community is because, there is so much ayahuasca tourism happening throughout Central and South America these days. And centers are popping up left and right, and you never know where to go. And people always asking us for a recommendation. And so it's part of, our mission as a bridge in a lot of ways to these plants to find centers and people who are in alignment and who are doing the work from this place of integrity. And even, getting just to hear a little bit about how you decided to create Soltara from this place of focusing just on one plant and one culture. To me, that speaks a lot of power just in that one decision, because and I love that metaphor that you just gave with the digging of the holes, because like you mentioned, we as Westerners, our experience with the plants, it's inherently different than Indigenous people who grew up within the tribes and within the communities deep in the rainforest. And it's interesting, even with your mention of cancer and your research with cancer at the very beginning, because when I talk with my elders, cancer is something that they don't even have a reference point for when they're talking about their treatment within the Indigenous communities. Cancer wasn't something that they were seeing within their communities until they started sharing the medicine with the West and started bringing the medicine out of the rainforest and into the Western world. They started seeing cancer and some of these other intense diseases and illnesses. So it's really kind of like a very interesting time that we're in, where these medicines are coming out of the rainforest and being shared, and they're posing a lot of cultural exchange between the tribes and the Western world, as well as different needs, right? So things that just weren't on the radar, like integration, for example. This is a perfect example. If you talk about integration within the concept of the tribes, a lot of them have no reference point for integration, because it's if you're looking at traditional communities, the medicine and their culture is so deeply integrated that there was no need for an integration of the experience. Their life was that. So when we're bringing the medicine out of the jungle and we're sharing it in these other contexts, that's why this integration topic has become such, a power topic and supercharged in the psychedelic and plant medicine community these days, because it's kind of the result of what we as Westerners are needing, to be able to experience these medicines. And we have a different lifestyle, we have different upbringing, we're coming to the medicine with different needs, right? So not even just the physical illness can be so much more exacerbated in the Western society, but emotional trauma, spiritual trauma, we're coming with a completely different psyche even than the Indigenous person who grew up in the rainforest, connected to the elements, connected to their traditional peoples. So I'm curious if you could elaborate a little bit more about this. I know you have probably a lot of wisdom to share on this topic, and would love to hear your thoughts on all of this and how it has really played a big role in the way in which you have created the program that you have created.
Yeah, I really resonate with everything you're saying and 100% agree that, this is kind of a new thing as we are building these cross-cultural bridges of healing, between this work. And for me, integration is such a sort of buzzword now, which is exciting, right? Because I think that this is important for us to understand how we are actually going to take this healing and apply it to making a better world, to improving our lives, moving also from individual to collective healing, and integration being one in the sense of taking this type of experience and applying the lessons gained from it into one's life, and also integrating all parts of the self, and really that's a lot of, what we talk about is shadow work, and really connecting to the parts that we may have hidden from our own psyche and bringing these back into the light and back into wholeness. So integrating the self in that way too, and coming back into wholeness, which does mean that we're working with, emotional trauma, also spiritual, illnesses and wounds, and physical and mental and energetic, so there are many different facets. And I think that's part of the beauty of this work, is that it really addresses healing from a holistic perspective, from a whole person perspective. And that's the approach we really try to take with integration as well. One thing that is pretty foundational for our approach is really a reactivation of one's own agency in their healing, which I think is something that I've seen taken away a lot of times in the Western approach to healing, where the answer is outside of you in this pill, or, in the tinkering of these levers, or this surgery, or, this specialist. And you sort of you're at the mercy of what's done to you in Western healing, whereas this approach with indigenous wisdom traditions and plant medicine is like, no, you better show up for your own healing. Otherwise, you're not going to get anything out of it, actually. So that's really the approach we take with the work itself, and also with integration. And so our hope is to really provide a plethora of tools for people, and then really empower people to find what it is that works for them. Because, some people are really going to be coming at this from a psychological perspective, and they really need that emotional support, or, they need to work with a therapist, or, potentially different types of practitioners that, could support them emotionally. Sometimes it's a spiritual thing. Sometimes it's the reintroduction of ritual and ceremony into their life. Sometimes it's, reconnecting with nature and making sure that, you're getting outside again. And, that's such a powerful integration tool that is often, it's so simple, but it's, often overlooked in modern society. Sometimes, it is physical. Sometimes it's like making sure you're getting in the water, or, going and making sure that there is some movement in your life, or, nervous system somatic embodiment practices can be really supportive for people. So we offer a variety of tools. We have an integration journal that we wrote with the help of some clinical psychologists who also have a lot of plant medicine experience. And it's called the Hero's Journal. And it's a psychological treatment framework, but it's adapted to the ayahuasca experience. And it's really meant to be fun. Like I found some integration like workbooks out there before we started, but they all felt like homework. And I was like, how can we, really make this engaging? And so there's art in there, there's quotes, there's like tiny blurbs, there's lots of space for writing, and really takes people through checking in with themselves. What's the baseline? What are their intentions for coming to this work, settling in and landing at Soltara, and then explaining a bit of what can come up during ceremony and how to navigate. So concepts like, healing is nonlinear, like the spiral metaphor has been really useful for us as, in talking about this work, how to navigate shadow work, how to bring your system back into balance and really regulate if needed, with some different techniques. And then space for journaling, what comes up in ceremony. And we also encourage people to not necessarily make too much meaning out of it while they're journaling in the moment, because it can be helpful to really just get the basics down there. And then as you kind of come back to it later, you might actually glean different meanings from it. So, trying to be a little bit looser with that. And then a build your own integration plan. So, we offer a bunch of different tools, and some people like habit trackers, some people like this idea of like how to create a ritual in your life, or how to reconnect to the elements, or how to speak to a therapist, or have an accountability buddy. So there's just a lot of different things that we offer. And then we say, we pull from the book different elements during integration workshops, during the retreat, and we'll do some activities to help engage people. And then after the retreat, we offer 3 months of weekly resources that we send that sort of track the integration journey, which of course is unique for everyone. But for example, 2 weeks out, you are stopping the post-retreat diet restrictions. So you're allowed to kind of come back into normal eating habits, but like, let's assess, how does your body feel? Let's do really make sure that, you're mindful, and that maybe you're reintroducing things one at a time, and checking in with yourself, because again, this isn't to prescribe anything. It's really just about helping people to find their own sovereign, power in the choices that they're making. So sort of tracking different aspects, checking in with technology, things like that. And then we also have an online integration and community platform called the Maloka, which we created. This was about 1.5 years ago. And we really wanted to get off of Facebook. We wanted to provide a private community for people who, are interested in this work. It's not just for people who came through Soltara, but we do offer virtual integration circles with our therapists on there every month, as well as 3 to 5 other events across the field of holistic healing. So this is a real opportunity for people to stay in community. So the 3 pillars of this are community, support, and reciprocity. So when it comes to community, it's got social media features, it's got a live feed. Every group that comes through gets their own private group on the platform so that they can stay connected to their retreat cohort, because that also, community is like one of the most important parts, I think, of integration, is really being able to connect and continue the journey with people who are going through the same thing and really understand this work. And then we have a support network. So we offer different practitioners, teachers, educators, organizations that are supportive of healing in a holistic sense, from somatic experiencing to spiritual work to therapy to applied neurology. Like, there's lots of different, I think, avenues in our network that people can really find a practitioner that can help them. And then, we offer these virtual events. We have a community directory on there. We offer a section for resources, so just like curated content to support the integration journey and preparation as well. We have preparation circles on there. And if you come through a Soltara retreat, you have unlimited access to virtual circles, alum circles with a therapist for life. So they just run once a month and you can join anyone you'd like. And then we also offer an individual session with our therapist as well, included as part of our integration. So it's a lot. And again, it's really just to offer a bunch of different things so people can find what works for them.
It's beautiful. I love it. And I think it is a lot. It's needed though. And ultimately, to offer an experience where people are feeling so supported and carried through the journey, it's just incredible and really, really special what you guys are doing. Have you noticed the rate of people who are just really struggling to integrate and go on with the next chapter of their lives greatly reduced since you developed the Maloka and this integration program? What have you noticed as far as the overall satisfaction success rate in terms of people who come to Soltara and their ability to really take their experience and let it be a catalyst for them into creating positive change in their life? Can you talk a little bit about some of the different elements that you've observed through implementing something so in depth and so cohesive?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the way that it's been received, I think it's really nice for people to have the different options, because so much of this is, like you were saying, our Western psyches and the way that we take in information and, the experiences and the healing that we're working through on so many levels. It's so different for everybody. And so, what I've really seen is that people are just happy to have a place to start, and it doesn't have to be like, this is how you integrate, right? It's like having the option to, again, really like check in with themselves. Like, what do I need right now? Do I want community? Do I want individual support? Do I want knowledge? Do I want to learn more about the Shipibo cosmology and, learn more from the healers and the facilitators and, help me to like reorient my belief systems, because maybe that's been shattered in my experience, right? And so just having like the different avenues that really meet people where they are, I think has been really well received. And also, another thing that has been coming up recently that is a project that we're actually in the works on. I don't know, maybe by the time this is launched, we'll have it ready to share. But we're really also looking to support the families and the partners and the communities, the inner circle of the people going through this transformation. And I think that this is another really important element that is sometimes overlooked in integration, which of course necessarily very much focuses on the person going through the journey. But that person is deeply interwoven in their communities and their family systems, right? And maybe their relationships, like, intimate relationships or otherwise. And so, what we've seen also is that people's partners are like, well, what does this mean for me? What does this person undergoing this transformation, like, there's fear there, right? There's like, I don't know what this is, and I don't know how to show up for this, and I don't know how this is going to change our relationship, and how do I even communicate about these things? And so, and this isn't a new idea, because if you look at a lot of wisdom traditions, like, for example, when someone goes on a vision quest, there's the initiate that's going on the quest, but actually the the family will stay behind and keep the fire and hold the prayers. And so that when the person comes back, they're not actually coming back to the same environment. They're coming back to a different environment that's more ready to receive them. And so, so much so far of our integration has been like, okay, maybe you've changed, but everything else is the same, right? Like, how do you protect your emotional safety? How do you discern who to share your experience with? And, it very like individually focused. But yeah, we're starting to kind of expand like, well, what would it be like if they actually didn't come back to the same environment? And, as an invitation, because we're also like, we're not trying to give anyone extra homework here, but for the people that are like, hey, how can I show up for this person, undergoing this journey? How do we create like a ceremony of goodbyes and honoring what has been, and like really, helping people to stay, removing a little bit of like the confusion about like what's happening and the why behind what goes on in the retreat, and how to, communicate with nonviolent communication, and, pulling from different internal family systems, I think is really supportive as well to talk about this work. So we're creating also a companion's guide for our integration journal to be able to start to like expand the integration and move into the family systems. And so that's been something that's been I've seen as kind of needed, and I'm really excited to start to kind of move in that direction as well, and spread the ripples out a little bit more, and the support system too.
Mm. I love that, and it's so true, and so needed as far as just bridging that gap and really inviting those people who perhaps are not feeling the call to go on this type of experience for themselves. But if your loved one is going through it, you inherently will be touched. You inherently will be affected by the change that is going to come through your significant other or your loved one going through this experience. And so, what a beautiful offering to be able to support the family and to support really in holding that space in all of its capacities. Really special. I'm just curious, did you come up with these ideas for the Maloka? How did these form? Because there's not really a precedent for this type of holistic offering and so in depth from, the one-on-one experience that people get before they go to Soltara and then after. Where did the clarity come for how to go about creating these offerings?
Yeah. So with the integration journal, so when we initially started Soltara, the person who was helping us with our on the ground integration program was Kendra. She was one of our initial team members, also my best friend from college. So she's actually the one that gave me psilocybin for the first time. So really like full circle kind of moment. And so it was kind of, us talking like the ideas that, what we wish we had when we first started doing this work of, the tools and the types of support. So when we decided to do this journal, then that was when we enlisted the psychologist, and Bia Labate really helped us connect with Clancy Kavanaugh, her partner, who's a psychologist with like 2 decades of plant medicine experience, and also Sharon Rafferty, who's on our board. And so they really helped us to make sure that the book was really vetted from a psychological perspective. And Kendra also has a background in psychology as well. And so that was kind of, an amalgamation of that. And then the Maloka was mine and Sylvia's idea. So Sylvia's another team member. She's worn a lot of different hats in the company. She's facilitated. She's a spiritual practitioner. She has done director of marketing, social media, and she helped with the Maloka. And that was really born out of this desire to get off of Facebook, but also to really expand our offerings. Like it was time to revamp things. We had a good amount of support between the book and the calls and the therapists and the 3 months of weekly resources. But, I just felt like it was time to kind of take a second look at this. So this was back in 2021, and we ended up launching it in 2022. But yeah, that was really Sylvia's and my brainchild, and just looking at, the different types of functionalities that, could really support people. And then for the companions guide, so Kendra and I had talked a long time ago about offering a resource guide for the partners or families of people going through this work, just to really help demystify it. Because especially back in like 2018, 2019, it was like, just still sort of this, there was a lot of sensationalism about it, right? And I think it was very easy to kind of have a certain idea if you look on the internet about this work. And so it was like a little seed of an idea at the time, but I also was like not sure how to present it in a way that wasn't, like I mentioned before, like, here, like, I'm doing this journey and here's your homework from, so I didn't want it to be like this sort of thing. Really wanted it to be an invitation. And just in conversation with some community members here in Costa Rica, Alice Reflective Soul, she's an amazing artist and dear friend, and she also has a lot of experience with community building work. And so, we were just talking about it, and she's also a really wonderful writer. So she has a family, her partner, she's got 3 kids. She's really like how to even like bring in the kids into this mission. It's like, kids understand dreams, kids understand imagination. Like, how can you, what are some tools or ways to connect with them on this level about this work? And so her kind of life experience and writing skills are really, that's how kind of this idea came to actually come to fruition. And I think it's going to be really impactful. It's like a 12 episode series, and kind of taking the whole arc of the journey, starting from preparation to after to get back. And there's like video accompaniment showing different communication tools between kids and couples. And so we're really excited. I think it's just going to be another way to support people, honestly, and their communities too, to start to like exponentiate this this work.
So cool. I love it. Beautiful. Well, when can we expect that to launch?
We are hoping for either late June or early July.
Beautiful. So if you're tuning in, make sure to circle back with Soltara and the Maloka for that really powerful launch that's coming up soon. And wishing you many, many blessings for that beautiful project and the birth of that vision, because it's really so special. And it's definitely a question that I get asked a lot too, is how to talk about the medicine with your kids, and to bring it into the family and to really integrate it in all ways into the family unit. So I look forward to learning more about it, because it's definitely on my heart as a mother and, someone who has my own family that I tend to in extension through this work. So very, very cool.
Beautiful.
Okay, I want to just ask you, I'm going to go down the list. I have some more questions for you in regards to the foundation of Soltara, specifically regarding how Soltara upholds sacred reciprocity. You guys are doing something really unique with the bridging of the Shipibo culture. You're not claiming to be a direct, experience of the lineage in its totality. With your offering, you're integrating it into a digestible way. And I'm curious if you could share with us, this is really important to our listeners, as well as one of the foundational principles of this podcast. We're really focused on this concept of Aini and sacred reciprocity. And so I would love to hear more about the ways in which that has been a part of your guys' journey.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for asking. And this is something that I'd like for us. We've been doing it behind the scenes, but I think it's time to actually start sharing a little bit more about what it is we're doing, because it is important to be talking more about this. And so we really support the families, specifically of the healers that we're working with. So this is like financial support beyond just like a direct exchange for the work that they're doing. Like so one of our maestros, Americo and Olga, they're building a school for Shipibo children in their village, which is really exciting. So he's a school teacher when he's not here working with us. And one thing that he's really noticed is that a lot of the younger generation are really interested in going out of the village and not necessarily following in the lineage of the medicine work that they're doing. And that they don't really have schools that teach this. It's sort of like a maestro apprentice kind of, individual base. But he's really concerned, as are we, for, the loss of their culture. And so he is actively right now, he's almost done with the Maloka, building a school for Shipibo children to teach them and like to include like medicinal plants, a medicinal garden, like working with the medicine, learning about their culture and cosmology. So we are supporting with that financially, and then also helping him to get his book published, which is almost done, and also going to be a way to help fund the school. So helping kind of sell those books and get them published and translated for him. And then it's like his story. It's about Shipibo cosmology and culture, and like different aspects of the medicine work. So really being able to share that. We also donate money to the Indigenous Reciprocity Initiative through the Chacruna Institute. They work with, I think it's like 36 different Indigenous communities, some in Costa Rica as well as Peru and elsewhere in the Amazon. So we contribute to that. We're also community partners with the Chacruna Institute and sponsor all of their conferences. I think it's really important, the work that they're doing, because they are uplifting often marginalized voices, Indigenous voices, BIPOC, LGBTQ voices. We just sponsored their Queering Psychedelics conference, really elevating queer voices in the space. And we also work with the Amazon Rainforest Conservancy and Amazon Watch. So last year, we donated $10,000 to the Amazon Rainforest Conservancy to help fund a jaguar corridor in the Amazon to basically allow for, some protected area for the jaguars, which are rapidly disappearing, to have that land protected. So we did like a joint donation, like a donation matching campaign for that as well. And then we also have a reciprocity fund that we contribute monthly to various organizations that are looking for support. So just in the last year, we're starting a national alliance of ayahuasca centers in Costa Rica, and to really support the creation of that, which a foundation of that is also sacred reciprocity and giving back to the local communities that we're actually in. So we've donated money to that, and also to the schools here in Playa Blanca, like right around our center. We have a really beautiful little neighborhood that we're a part of, and so we participate in like fundraisers for their school or donating money for their school. We've volunteered, like our team has volunteered hours and done beach cleanups. So trying to kind of like touch all of the different parts that like we're interwoven with. So we also are like really very clear on like sourcing ayahuasca sustainably. So we work with a farm. We don't take from wild ayahuasca for Soltara. And then contribute to the expansion of that farm as well, so that we can like grow in a sustainable way with the medicine itself, and contribute to the replanting of ayahuasca as well in the Amazon, just like growing it wild. Yeah, there's probably more, but that's kind of more what's been recently done. And we offer scholarship programs and also BIPOC specific scholarship programs. So we give away a scholarship a month. And we do payment plans and things like that, which is like less reciprocity, more accessibility, but really just trying to offer a range of ways that people can like access this work. And then the last thing I'll mention is on the Maloka. So we had the community support and reciprocity. So the reciprocity piece on the Maloka is we connect, we have a network of organizations that are on the front lines of Amazon conservation. Oh, we also work with veterans. So we support veterans and support the organizations that support veterans as well, accessing psychedelic medicines, Shipibo-led organizations, and nonprofits. So if people are interested and ready to pay their healing forward, then here's like a network of organizations that we trust and also are partners with or contribute to that we know are doing really good work, like on the front lines of these different areas.
So beautiful. Thank you for going into a little bit more detail and getting to hear about all of the great projects you guys are involved with. And yeah, I love that you are taking it from so many different aspects, right? To just even being and operating in Costa Rica and being in right relationship with the land and the people that you guys are in working with and touching just simply by operating there, and really just integrating it into so many different facets of your offerings. And I love it. And I definitely feel really passionate about this element of the work. And I think it's really one of the key elements that set set this type of offering apart from, all the different ayahuasca centers that are really for profit. And this concept of for profit within the ayahuasca community, there's so many different layers to it, and definitely there's a lot of delicacies around it. And so this element of the sacred reciprocity, to me, it's like a door that allows for this new vision that many of us are cultivating. We're in it together. There's a lot of really beautiful people and really beautiful organizations who are doing really good work within the space and really setting this standard, or this holding or cultivating this prayer for the future, the next 10, 15, 20 years of what the sharing of this medicine in these cultures is going to look like, and I think the last 10 years have been very interesting, really, because we've seen an incredible spike of accessibility to these medicines and to these ancestral wisdom cultures. And like you shared, many of these cultures are in danger of losing, the younger generation losing that access to their traditional ways. So a lot of the tribes, their younger generations are losing their language, or simply just not going out and learning the ways of their elders. And so if we do this right, this is monumental, what is happening in the world of plant medicine. Because if we do this in a way that uplifts and empowers these sacred traditions, these children are going to value their culture and value their language and value the medicine of their ancestors. And then this medicine does truly become a medicine for all people. And so that is my prayer. That is the prayer that I'm holding. And I feel that you and Soltara are also holding that. And yeah, it's really, really beautiful. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you. Absolutely. I mean, I think one of the beautiful things about the relationships that we have with the healers and their families is that it is a real opportunity to, I mean, we pay some of the best pay to the healers just for the work, that they do, which is the heart of it all, really. And so, and then we also allow, like, we have a little Shipibo market at the end of the retreat. So like all of their beautiful crafts and artisans, like, they can sell. And, it really does, like, they come and they work for rotations of like 2.5 months at a time. And then, like, that's enough for them for the next like 6 months to go and be with their families. And and really, like, seeing, like, hey, this is an avenue where, it's a win-win situation where, we really honor and respect the way that they hold the ceremonies, and, really take the lead in terms of the medicine work, and all of our programming is just in support of that. So, yes, there is some adaptation because, typically, like, they wouldn't do yoga before ceremony, but we find that that's really helpful for people. So yeah, we don't claim to be like traditional in any sense, or like we don't use the word like authentic, because also, like, what is authenticity in that regard? But I think, it's an opportunity for them to feel like their way of working with the medicine is done in a good way, and the work that we do around it is like in support to uplift that. And then, that there's an opportunity for them to have a fruitful path forward if their children, are interested in this work. And, we are already, like, talking to the younger people in their families. And yeah, so it's just been really beautiful. And I hear you too, it's like the idea of like for profit. And I'll just share, like, we've been open for 5 years. Like, we haven't actually, like, distributed or made any profit. Like, any extra money has actually just gone either back into, like, projects like the Maloka, or projects like this Companion's Guide, or, expanding the offerings and services we have in the business to make it a better experience, or to these reciprocity initiatives. So, for sure, I think this isn't really even to begin with, like, a line of work that people come into for the money. I mean, maybe that's happening with other areas of psychedelic
I think it is
science.
happening. I think people do see it as a way to profit, right? So I think to be able to come in from a place of how can I be in service, that in itself is unique to what's going on.
I guess that's true. Like, the way that the sort of psychedelic tourism has exploded in recent years, like back when we started this in, 2015, like, it was like, you're not, no one's like buying Cadillacs with like the money from this work, and this was when we were in Peru as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it was very much like doing it for, it's like the purpose of, the work. But I suppose, yeah, in recent years, it's definitely, and, it's hard too sometimes, because I think there can be some like misunderstanding about, the fact that, like, Costa Rica in general, like, is the the cost to run operations in Costa Rica versus Peru is like about 4 times the cost. And so
It's practically like in the United States.
it
Costa Rica
is,
is so
right? It's
expensive.
crazy. And so when we first started, we came from Peru. And so we were like, oh, yeah, like Peru prices, like, we're just doing it here. And then like very quickly we were like, oh, that's definitely not going to work. But we also didn't want to charge like 4 times the price of what we were charging in Peru. So it has been like a very like kind of tricky balance of finding like, okay, what is an amount to charge that allows us to like be able to continue doing the work that we're doing and continuing to be in service and like actually give back as well. And understanding that like prices are really high in Costa Rica. So it was really great to be able to open a Peru center again last year. So we have a center in the Amazon now, and it's like an entire tier of pricing lower, but we try and offer a spectrum. But yeah, I think, it's interesting to kind of see the way that the movement is developing. And like, I never thought that it would be like this, like a money grab. Like it just doesn't like seem to fit with like why people would come into this work. So, yeah, it is an interesting topic, and I think warrants, a lot more discussion as the movement continues to grow and, legislation in the US starts to change and Silicon Valley gets involved. And, it's like there's ways where we can channel money for the good of all. And I really hope that, as people come in and do this work, it's like that's really the lesson. It's like that's the energy flow that is really going to create abundance for everyone.
Mm. Mm-hmm. Beautifully said. Yeah, and I think that, really bringing it back to this concept of thriving, when we come at something from this desire for all beings and everyone who's involved with a project to be in ultimate abundance, thriving, optimum vitality and health and wellness, right? Then yes, the conversation for everyone to be taken care of is part of the sustainability conversation, right? To be able to continue doing this work, we all need to be taken care of. We all need to be provided for. And then, it's really this very subtle shift from doing it from the heart, rather than doing it from our Western conditioned mind of me. And that's part of the medicine of this medicine too, is the way in which we are provided this opportunity to think outside of ourselves, which is very much not what we're conditioned to do in the Western world, and to really think about our interconnectedness and the way in which we all have a ripple effect on one another. Our communities are connected, especially with this new age and new time that we're living in, when there's so much exchange of culture. It's like this beautiful opportunity, invitation to come into this new way of relating to one another, relating to different cultures, relating to all the different healing modalities that exist all upon the earth, so that humanity can heal. And it's like truly the evolution of collective consciousness.
Yeah, absolutely. So beautifully said. It feels like we're at an inflection point right now, and like these times are very potent. And it's being in spaces where these conversations are happening. And like I really appreciate the opportunity to have this conversation, because this is a part of it too. And making sure that we are asking the right questions, and asking the hard questions, and being open to the accountability. And like we're not, I'm not perfect either. This is all a learning process, and as we're building the bridges, it's like inevitably we're going to be coming up against brand new problems. But for me, that's exciting. Those are the things that I want to solve, because that means that bridges are forming. And it's really an opportunity to just continue to like evolve and grow together. And like when we can meet in these spaces and have these compassionate but also like deep conversations, that for me is like, that's so soul fulfilling for me, because I really think it's like these are exciting times, and there's a lot of potential, both ways. And so how can we like lean into the way that's going to be, like a rising tide lifts all boats kind of thing. I think that's how I've been trying to like orient to this.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Melissa. I've so enjoyed this conversation and getting the opportunity to connect with you and hear about all the beautiful work that you are doing. And yes, I agree. These conversations need to be had. We're here to connect in this time. We, like-minded organizations, like-minded people, we need to interconnect and lift one another up and really align. This isn't a time for separation. This is a time for unity. And so Four Visions is really honored to get to highlight you and Soltara and the work that you are doing to our community. And I hope everyone who has listened today has enjoyed hearing a little bit about the story and the development behind the mission that is Soltara. We will, of course, be including all your guys' links and information about all of your offerings and your center, so that those who feel the call to learn more and possibly come visit you guys one day can go get the information that they need to do that. And other than that, I just really want to thank you so much for your time. And if there's anything else that you want to share with our listeners today, the space is yours before we close. So thank you, sister.
Thank you so much, Mariah. Yeah, just to say thank you as well for the work that you're doing. I really love the way that you help to elevate Indigenous artisans and their crafts and really make it so that we can connect in a real human way to these types of healing modalities and tools. And I just think that the way you do it is so beautiful, and the awareness that you bring to it. So thank you. And yeah, just to share, our community is open to everyone. It doesn't just have to be people who are, coming through Soltara. So the moloka.com is, we're really just trying to cultivate a space of connection and support and like-minded people and privacy and autonomy kind of off of the social networks. So anyone is welcome. There's a really robust free community option, and we offer pretty accessible events, across the field of holistic healing. So yeah, just welcoming anyone who would like to connect with other beautiful people, because that's how we do this work together. So thank you so much.
Thank you. So beautiful.
From everyone at the Four Visions Market family, we would like to thank you for listening to our podcast. We really hope that you've enjoyed the conversation and gained many new insights on plant medicines, ancestral wisdom, and much more. Please remember to visit our website at www.fourvisionsmarket.com for more resources and information on plant medicine and spiritual tools. And please don't forget to follow us across social media for regular updates on upcoming episodes. We are grateful for your support and look forward to continuing this path with you all. Until next time, take care, stay present, and stay connected.